this video, we're going to talk about the angle of elevation and the angle of depression. So an angle of elevation is the angle formed by the horizontal line and the observer's line of sight to an object above. So that means there's some little dude like right here, and he's looking at something up here, and he looks up like this. So the angle of elevation is the angle that he has to look up at. An angle of depression, however, is the angle formed by a horizontal line and an observer's line of sight down to an object. So that would be like if I was, I don't know, on top of a building and I'm looking down at some object down here, that's the angle of depression with a horizontal line. So the angle looking down is the angle of depression. So what really helps me with that is that this picture is pretty good. It has an object above and it has an object below. And the angle of this man looking up creates the angle of elevation, and the angle of the object looking down creates the angle of depression. Alright, example 6. A ground crew worker who is 6 feet tall is directing a plane on a runway. If the worker sights the plane at an angle of 32 degrees, what is the horizontal distance from the worker to the plane? So here's an image, and you got the little dude right down here. This is our person. And he's 6 feet tall, and he's looking up at this plane over here. So right away we know we're going to use the angle of elevation, and that it's 32 degrees, and we know the height of the plane is 150. If we were to just draw the triangle like this and put 150 here and x here, that wouldn't be correct because we have this extra itty bitty little distance right in here of 6 feet. So what you actually have to do is make this 144 feet. So since the worker is 6 feet tall, we subtract that height from the plane's height off the ground. So now we're almost actually pretty much done. We have our degree right here, which is 32 degrees. This is my opposite, and this is my adjacent. So I'm going to end up using tangent because of opposite and adjacent. So I get tangent of 32 degrees is equal to opposite 144 over adjacent x. And now all we have to do is solve. So you multiply both sides by x. These are going to reduce off, and I get x tangent of 32 is equal to 144. And then I just have to divide both sides by tangent of 32. So I get x is equal to 144 divided by tangent of 32 degrees. And then all that's left to do now, really, is just put that into a calculator. 144 divided by tangent of 32, and I push enter, and I get 230.44. So it's about 230.44, and then rounding to the nearest tenth, I get 230.4 feet. Okay, now on your own. A group of hikers on a camping trip climbed to the top of a 1,500-foot mountain. When the hikers look down at an angle of depression of 36 degrees, they can see the campsite in the distance. What is the horizontal distance between the campsite and the group to the nearest foot? So here's our picture. We have our guy up top, obviously not drawn to scale, but he's up top, and he's looking down at the campsite. So that gives us our angle of depression, which is right here. So what I like to do is actually redraw a triangle in like this, because this distance, this 1,500 here, is the same as right here. And then here is my angle of 36 degrees. So on your own, I want you to determine the distance the campsite is horizontally. So in other words, solve for this x. All right, here we go. So what I like to do when I start these problems is actually just redraw the triangle. So here's 1500, and this is x, and this is 36. This is my right angle. And so this is going to be my opposite. This is my adjacent. So tangent of 36 degrees is equal to opposite, 1500, divided by x, which is the adjacent. And so now I'm going to multiply both sides by x. These reduce off. I get x times tangent of 36 is equal to 1500. And then I divide both sides by tangent. So I get 1500 divided by tangent of 36 degrees. And now all it's left to do is put that into my calculator. 1500 divided by tangent of 36. And I get 2064.5. So x is about 2064.5 feet. And then I'm going to round it to the nearest foot. So 2065 feet.